Y'all, I never thought I'd be sitting here telling this story, but here we go. Just last month, I found out my own kids did the unthinkable, sold the house I've called home for over 30 years, and I didn't even know a thing about it. I was sitting there sipping my tea, looking out the window at my little garden, thinking life was calm and steady, and then bam, everything flipped upside down. I know some of y'all probably thinking, how does that even happen? Well, honey, it happens more than you think, and when it hits you, it hits hard, let me tell you. Now, y'all know I'm 55. I'm retired, but I keep busy, gardening, cooking, singing along to my jazz station, and watching my kids grow up into the people I always hoped they'd be. My son Jamal, 28, always joking, always busy with his tech job, but still my baby boy. My daughter Tasha, 25, sweet, smart, and always trying to balance schoolwork and a friend's life. Like I said, they busy, but I never thought they'd be secretive or sneaky. I wake up every morning the same way. Coffee in hand, slippers on my feet, sun on my face, my roses blooming in the backyard. I sit there thinking about memories, my households, first steps, birthday parties, all the little moments that make a house a home. I walk through the rooms and see the pictures, the frames, the walls filled with laughter frozen in time. I can't imagine letting that go, ever. But here we are. I try to keep life light, though. I joke with my kids all the time. Jamal, hey, Mom, you want me to mow the lawn today? I tell him, nah, baby, I got it. You handle your hustle. He says, all right, just making sure you ain't overdoing it, Ma. I laugh because he's always worried about me. That's my kids, y'all. I love them dearly, but sometimes love don't mean you understand everything. And that's the thing about life. You never know what's really going on behind your back. You just hope for the best. And sometimes too much hope ain't enough. Little things started happening around the house. At first, I didn't notice. Papers on the counter, letters from the bank I never remembered seeing before, Jamal taking calls outside, Tasha acting nervous, and I'd ask, oh, is everything okay? They'd say, yeah, Mom, everything's fine. But something in my gut told me something was off, something I couldn't put my finger on, something. Y'all ever get that feeling, that pit in your stomach that something's wrong, but you just hope it's not? Yeah, that was me. Neighbors started asking questions. Honey, are your kids always this secretive? And I just laugh. They're grown now. Let them be. Still trying to ignore that gnawing feeling inside me, but it wouldn't go away. Some nights I'd sit in the dark, sip my tea and think, maybe I'm being paranoid. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it is. Every little sound, every whisper, every glance made my heart beat faster. And y'all know I ain't the type to panic over nothing. I try to stay calm. I try to see the best in my kids. But life has a way of teaching you lessons, whether you're ready or not. And honey, I was about to get the biggest lesson of my life.
Mornings at my house were usually the best part of the day. I'd wake up with the sun peeking through my curtains, birds chirping outside my window, coffee brewing in the kitchen, and my favorite jazz station softly humming in the background. I'd stretch my arms, look out at my little garden, see the roses, the tulips, the daisies all blooming, and I'd smile, 'cause life felt simple, peaceful, like nothing could touch me. That's how I liked it. My house had a rhythm, my life had a rhythm, and for the most part, my kids fit right into it. Jamal would stumble into the kitchen rubbing his eyes, yelling, "Good morning, Mom." I'd laugh and say, "Good morning, sleepyhead," and he'd roll his eyes and grab a piece of toast. Tasha, on the other hand, she was more organized, more precise. She'd already be dressed, hair done, coffee in hand, ready to start her day. I'd tease her, "Girl, you working for the president or something?" She'd laugh and say, "Maybe I am, maybe I ain't, but either way, Mom, I gotta go." I'd shake my head and chuckle at them both, 'cause that's just who they were. I like to think of my home as a safe place, a place where laughter bounced off the walls, where memories sat in the corners waiting to be relived. I'd cook breakfast, sometimes pancakes, sometimes eggs and toast, always coffee, always music. And sometimes we'd all just sit there in the morning, quiet for a minute, just enjoying each other's company. little moments that felt ordinary but weren't, 'cause they were ours. I'd glance at the pictures hanging on the walls, my wedding photo, my kids as babies, Jamal's first steps, Tasha's first birthday, all framed, all smiling, frozen in time. And I think, y'all, this is what it's all about. Even though life was mostly calm, there were moments that made me raise my eyebrows. Small things that didn't sit right. Little hints I couldn't ignore. Jamal started taking longer calls outside his room. Tasha seemed jumpy, checking her phone way too often, and I kept telling myself, it's probably just life stuff, work, friends, maybe school, kids being kids. But deep down, I couldn't shake it. Sometimes I'd catch them whispering when they thought I wasn't looking, and I'd pretend not to notice, acting like I was busy tending the garden or cleaning up in the kitchen. But my heart knew something was off. And y'all know that feeling when your gut screams at you and you try to ignore it anyway? That was me. Some nights, sitting in my favorite chair, my coffee gone cold, my eyes on the window, just wondering what was really going on. But life wasn't all suspiciousness. I had my joys, my daily pleasures that kept me grounded. I'd water my garden, talk to my neighbors, exchange recipes, wave at the mailman who always had a joke for me. I'd visit the corner store, get my usual sweet tea and a little snack, maybe some of those peanut butter cookies I love. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I walked down the street greeting folks like they were family, even though some of them I'd never met. It was just how I was raised. Treat people with kindness, smile even when life tries to knock you down. And the kids, they'd sometimes join me for these walks. Jamal complaining about his sore back, Tasha complaining about the heat, but we'd laugh and talk. And for a moment, everything felt right. Nothing felt heavy. And I tell myself, y'all, this is what keeps a person sane. Just these little moments, just these little laughs. Still, the tension lingered, like a shadow in the corner of the room. I noticed the mailbox with no letters for days, then suddenly a stack appearing overnight. Envelopes I didn't remember seeing before, bills that looked official. Jamal acting nervous when he thought I wasn't watching. Tasha sneaking into her room, quickly closing her door. And that pit in my stomach just grew. I'd sit in the living room, pretending to read my book while watching them from the corner of my eye, and I think, what's going on? I know my kids. They wouldn't lie to me. I raised them too good. But why this feeling? Then I shake my head, sip my coffee, and say, maybe I'm just overthinking it. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's something. But either way, I had to be ready, 'cause life has a way of teaching lessons you ain't prepared for. I remember one afternoon, Jamal came in acting casual. I said, what's up? He said, nothing, just chilling. I nodded, smiled, but noticed his sweat on his forehead, the way he avoided my eyes. I said, Jamal, you all right? He said, yeah, I'm fine. And y'all, I wanted to believe him. I really did. But sometimes love blinds you. And sometimes love makes you watch and wait for the truth to show itself. And that's exactly what life was doing to me. It was building up like a storm, gathering clouds. I could feel it in my bones, in my heart, in every corner of my house. I love my home. I love my family. And I was about to find out how fragile that love could be. Some days I'd wake up and everything felt normal, but there was this heaviness I couldn't shake. I'd make my coffee, sit on the porch, watch the sunrise, and try to tell myself it was just the wind or maybe my imagination. But deep down, I knew something was off. Jamal kept running outside to take calls, whispering on the phone like he was talking to someone he didn't want me to hear. Tasha was always busy, checking messages fast, like she didn't want me peeking over her shoulder. I tried to give him space because I raised him right, but the feeling in my gut wouldn't quit. You know, the kind that gnaws at you at night, keeps you up wondering. And I kept saying to myself, y'all, maybe I'm being paranoid. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's something. But a mama's intuition don't lie, and mine was screaming at me. I started noticing little changes around the house. Doors that were left unlocked when I knew they weren't. Mail sitting on the counter that didn't belong there. Things that just didn't make sense. And I'd ask the kids casually, hey, what's this about? They give me that look, the one, like they didn't want to explain. And I nod, smile, and go about my day. But my mind wouldn't let go. My heart wouldn't let go. Something was happening behind my back, and I had no idea what I was dealing with yet. Some nights I sit in my favorite chair, sip my tea, look at the walls, and imagine worst case scenarios, 'cause that's how my mind worked when it felt danger lurking. And honey, danger was lurking. Neighbors start asking me questions. Honey, are your kids always this secretive? I'd laugh and say, oh, they're grown now, let them be. But inside I was tense. I couldn't tell them the truth, not yet, because I didn't even know the full truth myself. It was like something was building slowly, and I could feel the storm coming. I started paying closer attention to the bills, the letters, the bank statements I didn't usually look at. I'd go through them one by one, checking signatures, trying to see if something jumped out at me, but nothing did. And I'd sit there frustrated, wondering how grown kids could hide something from their mama. I raised them good. I taught them right. I tried to be fair. I tried to love them unconditionally. And yet, here I was, feeling helpless. Y'all know that feeling when you think you're in control and then life shows you you ain't? One evening, I was tidying up the kitchen when I noticed a small envelope tucked under the counter. I didn't remember putting it there, and it had that official feel, the kind with shiny paper and embossed letters. I opened it slow, my hands shaking a little, and it was from the bank, talking about a recent transaction on my property. My heart stopped, y'all. I sat down on the chair, sipping my tea, trying to read the words, but it felt like the letters were spinning, like the room was spinning, and I whispered to myself, no, 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 this can't be right. This can't be real. I folded the paper slowly, put it on the table, and just sat there, my mind racing, my heart pounding, and that's when I knew something was seriously wrong. My kids had been acting shady for a reason, and I was about to find out what.
One afternoon, I was sitting at the kitchen table sipping my tea, scrolling through some mail, when the phone rang and it was from the bank. Now, y'all know I don't usually panic over a phone call, but something in my gut told me this one was serious. The lady on the other end said, "Ma'am, we need to discuss a recent transaction on your property." I felt my chest tighten and I whispered, "Excuse me, what kind of transaction?" She said, "The house, your property, ma'am, it's been sold." I froze, y'all. I couldn't breathe. My tea slipped from my hands and I just sat there, staring at the floor. My mind went blank. How could this happen? My own kids, Jamal and Tasha, sold the house I've lived in for over 30 years, and I never signed nothing. I never agreed to nothing. It was like the floor had dropped from under me. I felt my heart shatter in pieces, and I whispered, no, no, no. This can't be real. It just can't be real. I called Jamal first, my voice trembling. "Jamal, I can't believe you sold my house." He said, "Mom, we thought, Tasha, we didn't want to stress you out." I felt like the world was spinning. I couldn't even speak. I was mad, heartbroken, confused, every feeling all at once. I said, "Y'all, how could you do this? How could you sell every memory, every corner, every little thing I've built for us? You're my kids, and you did this behind my back." Jamal tried to explain. "We thought it was the best thing." Tasha said, "We didn't mean to hurt you." I tried to listen, but my heart was too heavy. Y'all understand that feeling when someone you trust the most just rips your world apart? It ain't easy. It's like someone took the life out of your hands and said, "Here, mama, deal with it." I had to step outside. My head was racing, my hands shaking. I walked through the backyard, touching the roses. My favorite chair still there, my garden still blooming, but the house itself was gone in a way. It didn't feel like mine anymore. Memories felt like they were evaporating into thin air. I felt every tear I could ever cry swelling in my eyes, and honey, I didn't hold back. I cried, I screamed, I told the sky, "Why would you let this happen? Why would you let the people you love hurt you like this?" And that's when I realized life don't come with instructions. It don't come with warnings. It just throws things at you and you got to survive it. You got to feel it. You got to get mad about it, but you also got to find your way back to your own feet. After I calmed down, I had to face my kids. Jamal and Tasha both stood there trying to act casual, but I could see it in their eyes. Guilt, shame, they knew they'd gone too far. I said to them, y'all listen to me. I raised you both with love, respect, and honesty, and I expect that in return. You don't ever do something like this behind my back again. Jamal and Tasha hung their heads and nodded. I forgave them, 'cause that's what mama hearts do, even when it hurts, even when it's unfair. But I made it crystal clear, never underestimate me again. I won't be broken by this. I won't let betrayal define me. I ain't saying it wasn't hard, y'all. It was the hardest thing I ever went through, but I also learned something important. Even in pain, you can rise. Even in heartbreak, you can find strength. I started rebuilding my life, not the house, not the walls, not the papers, but my own sense of peace. I spent more time in my garden, more time with neighbors, more time doing little things that made me happy. I found joy in the mornings, coffee and music. I found laughter in my kids. Even after the hurt, I found power in knowing that no matter what life throws at you, you can get up and keep going. I sat in my chair one day, watching the sun set over my garden, and I thought, y'all, this is what it means to survive. It's not just about keeping a house. It's about keeping your heart, keeping your mind, and keeping your spirit alive. After that storm passed, I found myself sitting in the quiet of my house, trying to process everything. Y'all know sometimes life don't give you answers right away. It just gives you a mess to clean up, and you gotta do it with what little strength you got. I spent hours sitting in my favorite chair, sipping tea, staring out the window at my garden, letting tears fall, letting anger rise, letting every emotion have its moment. I talked to Jamal and Tasha more calmly now, trying to understand their side. They apologized over and over. Honey, I could see it in their eyes. They didn't mean to hurt me. But intentions sometimes don't matter when actions cut deep. I told them I forgave them. But forgiveness don't mean forget it. It don't mean it ain't gonna sting. It just means I won't let it chain me down. I started reflecting on life, on love, on family, and how easily things we hold dear can be taken away. I realized the house was bricks and wood, but the memories, the lessons, the love we shared, those can't be sold or stolen. I spent mornings walking through my garden, feeling the sun on my face, watering my roses, talking to the birds that had come to visit. I laughed to myself thinking, y'all, even when life knocks you down, you gotta find joy in the little things. 'Cause them little things are what remind you you're still alive, you're still here, you still matter. I made a promise to myself to never let betrayal define me, to never let pain make me bitter, 'cause that ain't the kind of mama I am. I'm strong, I'm resilient, I'm 55, and I've survived plenty already. Sometimes I'd catch Jamal and Tasha looking at me, unsure what to say or how to act around me. I'd just smile, wink at them, and say, life's gonna teach you lessons you never expected, but that's how we grow. I noticed how their eyes softened around me over time, how laughter returned to the kitchen, how evenings felt warm again, not perfect, but real. And honey, real is enough. I started calling my neighbors more often, inviting them over for tea, sharing stories, laughing at little mishaps life had thrown our way. I even started a little journaling, recording my thoughts, my feelings, the lessons I learned every day. I felt lighter, stronger, like I'd shed a weight I didn't even know I was carrying. I thought a lot about trust and how fragile it can be, and yet how powerful forgiveness is. I learned that hurt is a teacher, not a jailer. That pain is temporary, but strength is forever. I told myself, y'all, never let anyone else take your peace, your joy, your heart. You hold on to it tight, 'cause it's yours, and you deserve to keep it safe. I made it a point to look at my reflection every morning and say, Auntie Mae, you're strong. You're loved, you're capable, and you're not defined by what others do. I felt empowered, not because life was easy, but because I chose to rise above the hurt. I chose to live on my own terms. I chose me. Even though the house wasn't mine anymore, in the legal sense, It still held memories. My spirit still called it home. I could walk through the rooms in my mind, remember every laugh, every tear, every small miracle. And honey, that was enough to keep me grounded, to keep me feeling alive. I started sharing little stories with Jamal and Tasha about when they were kids, about silly mistakes, about proud moments, about love, about heartbreak. We'd laugh sometimes, cry sometimes, just sit in silence together. And it reminded me that family ain't just walls and floors. It's hearts that forgive. It's souls that stick together through thick and thin, through mistakes and triumphs. I also realized how important it was to stay connected to the world outside my house, not just in my comfort zone, but reaching out to folks in the neighborhood, sharing wisdom, helping where I could. And let me tell y'all, helping others heals you in ways nothing else can. I spent afternoons teaching little kids how to plant flowers, watching them get their hands dirty. It reminded me that life is messy, but beautiful. That even after betrayal, you can still nurture and grow. That even when your heart aches, you can still bloom. I told myself, y'all, Auntie Mae, you survived worse. You'll survive this. And I smiled, because I knew it was true. Now listen here, y'all. I've been through a lot in my 55 years, and let me tell you, life has a way of teaching lessons when you least expect it. I've cried over things I never thought I would. I've laughed at things that seemed small but mattered a lot. And I've learned that even when life takes something from you, it don't mean it's the end. It just means there's something better waiting around the corner. I've sat in my chair, watched the sun rise and set over my garden, and I've realized that peace and happiness ain't about the things you own. It's about the love you give, the lessons you learn, and the joy you find in the little moments. Now, I want to ask y'all something. Have you ever felt betrayed by someone you love? Have you ever had your trust broken and wondered how you'd ever recover? I know y'all have, because we all been there. Life don't discriminate. It comes for everybody. But let me tell you the truth the same way I learned it. You don't have to let it define you. You don't have to let it break you. You take that hurt, you turn it into strength. You take that pain, you turn it into wisdom. You take that heartbreak and you use it to teach others that even when life gets messy, you can still bloom. I want y'all to think about that for a minute. Picture something in your life that's been hard, that broke your heart, and now imagine taking it and using it to make yourself stronger. That's what I did, and honey, it works. I also want to remind y'all, don't ever underestimate the power of forgiveness. It ain't easy, it ain't simple, but it frees you from holding on to anger and resentment that only weighs you down. I forgave Jamal and Tasha, even though my heart hurt. It wasn't for them, it was for me. I wanted my heart light. I wanted my spirit strong. I wanted to wake up every day feeling like I could face the world. And honey, let me tell you, when you forgive, it ain't about saying what they did was okay. It's about saying, I won't let it control me anymore. And that's a lesson I want y'all to take with you today. No matter what life throws at you, you keep your heart open, your mind clear, and your spirit unbreakable. And I ain't gonna lie to y'all sometimes. I still think about that house. I still think about what could have been. And that's okay, because it reminds me I'm human. It reminds me life is real. But it don't control me. I control me. I decide how I respond, how I feel, how I live, and that's what makes all the difference. Don't let anyone else dictate your happiness. Don't let anyone else hold your joy. You get to choose every single day. And honey, if you ever forget, just sit in your chair, drink your coffee, look at the sunrise or the flowers or your kids or your friends, and remember, you still got the power. It never left you. Now, before I go, I gotta ask y'all something fun. Do you remember the last time you laughed so hard your cheeks hurt? Go ahead, think about it. Feel it in your chest. That's the kind of energy you need more of in your life. Don't wait for it to happen. Find it. Make it happen. Surround yourself with it and let it fill your soul. I'm Auntie Mae, and I'm here to remind y'all that life is messy. Life is unpredictable, but it's also beautiful, full of lessons, full of love, full of moments that make it worth it. And honey, don't forget to share those moments with people that matter, because that's how love multiplies and happiness grows. So y'all go out there, live your life, love your people, take care of yourself, and remember, even when the world tries to knock you down, you can rise up stronger, wiser, and full of laughter. Keep your heart open, your mind clear, your spirit fierce, and don't ever forget to bloom, no matter what. I'll see y'all next time. I got more stories, more lessons, more laughs, and maybe even a few surprises. But until then, remember, Auntie Mae loves y'all. And I hope y'all love yourselves enough to keep fighting, keep laughing, and keep growing.